So, guys, I'm going to give you guys my 6 running backs that you can buy low on right now and get maximum value. Now, remember, you have to make these trades before the draft. So we have less than 2 weeks to get these deals done. The first running back on my list, there's no particular order. There's no particular, first place, second place, third place kind of thing. It's just my list of 6. And if you guys get lucky, I might just give you 2 bonus running backs at the end of the episode. But David Montgomery is number 1 on my list. In year 1, he had 242 attempts, had over almost 900 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, 25 receptions for 185, and 1 touchdown. Now, the knock on David Montgomery year 1 was he wasn't explosive. He only averaged 3.7 yards per carry. So that was a concern for a lot of us fans. And also, Tariq Cohen took away a lot of the receiving work that David Montgomery was able to get in 2020, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But David Montgomery, at 5'10", 216 pounds, he has good speed. You might think that he's not elusive or flashy. He also played with Trubisky. Trubisky's a terrible quarterback. Now, obviously, Andy Dalton is now there. And can you really say that Trubisky is better than Andy Dalton or Andy Dalton is better than Trubisky? They might be about the same. But I would say this. Andy Dalton has done a lot more in his career than Trubisky has. And, with Allen Robinson coming back, they're probably going to add a receiver or 2 in the draft since they didn't do anything free agency-wise. And the only knock to David Montgomery right now is if the Bears draft another running back, which I don't think they will, but you just never know. You never know with these things. Mike Davis was gone last year because I remember year 1, it was Mike Davis, David Montgomery, and Tariq Cohen. So, he still almost had 100 yards. That's not bad. Now, in year 2, in 2020, he had 247 attempts. So he had 5 more attempts than he had in 2019. He had 1,000 yards plus. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry. A lot better from year 1. He had 8 touchdowns. Now, here is what set David Montgomery apart from a lot of the running backs last year. He had 54 receptions for 438 yards, 8.1 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns. In PPR, this guy was a monster. And we all saw what David Montgomery was able to do the last half of the season. He went on a rampage. If you had David Montgomery on your team, you most likely either made the playoffs or won the championship. He was that good. So he's a guy that everybody is still down on, even after having a breakout year 2. They're saying, well, Tariq Cohen is coming back. They're saying, well, the Bears might draft another running back. They might add another person in free agency that's still available right now. But I'm telling you guys, David Montgomery is a running back to own. I have him in about 3 or 4 dynasty leagues, and I got him as a guy that nobody wanted. Every time I got him, it wasn't because I wanted to get him, but I'm glad that I had him last year because my teams are pretty stacked right now, and I have a stack of Chubb, Kamara, and David Montgomery in one league, and in another league, I have Dalvin Cook, Chubb, and David Montgomery. So you can see that if David Montgomery is your 3rd running back on your team, you're pretty darn good. But he's good enough to be an RB2 this year. I don't know if he'll be an RB2-1 again, but he's definitely a guy that you should trade for. The next running back on my list is James Robinson. See, the great thing about backfields that are unpredictable or backfields that nobody want to touch, you got to get a piece of that backfield. Last year, it was Raekwon Armstead. He was supposed to be the guy. They cut Fournette, and nobody knew that James Robinson was going to emerge and become what he became. He ended up as the RB7 last year. He rushed for 1,070 yards, 7 touchdowns. He caught 49 passes for 344 yards and 1 touchdown. So that's amazing, especially in PPR when you're getting 49 receptions. That's 49 points right there. So James Robinson moving forward. Trevor Lawrence is going to get there, right? And we'll see if the Jacksonville Jaguars spend a draft pick on a stud running back or even a backup running back. I think that they have to run with James Robinson to see what they have in him, then maybe pursue a running back next year if he doesn't work out. But yeah, he's definitely a buy low candidate right now. Some people are uncertain of James Robinson. So you can possibly trade and get him cheap. Because if he blows up again, if Trevor Lawrence gets there, who loves to throw the ball to running backs, if he gets there and him and James Robinson connect, is a wrap. You're not going to be able to get James Robinson for anything less. So you want to go ahead and try to get this guy right now while the getting is cheap. Trust me, you can get him for great value. You can even trade a first-round pick, a low first-round pick, maybe like a 108 or 109 to get a James Robinson, or even two first-round picks, two late first-round picks can possibly get you a James Robinson. The third guy on my list, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a guy that nobody wants right now. Everybody is saying Kenyon Drake this, Kenyon Drake that. John Gruden this, John Gruden that. Look, Josh Jacobs continues to be disrespected. I don't know why he gets disrespected so much. I understand he has games where he gets 3 touchdowns here, 2 touchdowns here. He has multiple touchdown games, and you worry about the consistency, but out of all the running backs in the league, who's really consistent outside of those bell cows like the McCaffreys and the Kamaras and the Dalvin Cooks? There are not a lot of good to elite running backs in the NFL. And I understand there's going to be some new rookies coming in, but you got to rock with Josh Jacobs. I'm telling you right now, he's cheap. Everybody's discouraged. He ended as the RB8 last year. He had 1,065 rushing yards. He had 12 rushing touchdowns. 33 receptions for 233 yards. Now, I saw Josh Jacobs play in Alabama. He's capable of catching the ball. He's an all 3-down back. He's a 3-down back, but John Gruden, the coach, does not use him that way. He brought in Kenyon Drake, who they say that he's coming in to take some of the receiving work. But is Kenyon Drake really a superior to Jacobs? No. He's just a guy that's going to come in and take some snaps away from Jacobs. Look, Jacobs still has double-digit potential rushing touchdowns. And that's where you are banking on. You're banking on 10 or more touchdowns. If he gets 10 or more touchdowns next year, he is a lock for 1,000 yards. Regardless of what Drake does, he's still a lock for 1,000 yards. Even if he doesn't get 1,000 yards, but he gets 10 to 12 touchdowns, he is still most likely going to be an RB1. So I'm telling you guys right now, go grab Josh Jacobs right now before the price goes up. Everybody's discouraged, but I'm buying. I started out with Josh Jacobs 2 years ago in a lot of dynasty leagues, a lot of keeper leagues, and I'm still going to rock with Josh Jacobs. You just have to know when to move on a player, and I think the time is now. It does not get any better than this. The next name on my list is going to blow you guys' mind. You're going to say, Manny, why the heck is this player even on your list? Why the heck is this player a buy low candidate? Well, this running back finished as the RB9 last year, Ezekiel Elliott. You got to go grab him now. I'm trying to tell you, everybody's down on this guy. Everybody is saying he's washed. He's not the same kind of player anymore. And I say these guys are crazy. Do you guys even know who Ezekiel Elliott is? This guy is still elite and still has some elite years left. I understand the offensive line is down. I understand that Dak is coming off of an injury. That's why this is a buy low candidate. That's why this is the perfect buy low candidate. You can trade a year 2 back or a year 3 back that you're not unsure of, like maybe like a Montgomery or a Akers and something to get Ezekiel Elliott. I understand the age, and I understand, Dynasty, Keeper, redraft. It all depends on which kind of league you're playing. But if you're playing a keeper league, you want to package some of your non-keepers to go get this guy because he is a keeper. If you're playing Dynasty, you want to package some guys. You're going to package maybe a RB2 and a first to go ahead and get an Ezekiel Elliott. I'm telling you, he's going to help you win your league. I understand people try to build off of age and try to do this and do that. Look, I play to win, so I'm aggressive. I'm always going to go ahead and get the guy that's going to give me the best chance to win regardless of age. every year I'm going to make a deal to put me in a position to win. So y'all can have y'all's, oh, this running back is 20 years old. This running back is 21 years old. Awesome. If you play Dynasty that way, that is perfectly fine. But Ezekiel Elliott last year, in a year that everybody said he was washed, in a year that everybody said that he can't do it anymore, like I said, he finished RB9. He had 979 yards rushing. He had 6 rushing touchdowns. He had 52 receptions for 338 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's with some bum quarterbacks. That's with Andy Dalton and some of these other guys that I can't even pronounce, like Ben something. I forgot that guy's name. But the whole point is, you insert Dak. Even if Dak is 80%, he's going to catch more than 52 receptions. That's a given. You can see Dak anywhere between 60 to 75 receptions next year. You can see an uptick in his receiving yards as well. He had 338 last year. He's going to have anywhere between 400 to 500 receiving. Okay. He's going to have more than 2 touchdowns. Dallas is going to throw the ball, and I assume that the Dallas defense is going to be bad. So that means they're playing from behind. So you're going to see Dak, on all 3 downs. You're going to see him catch a lot of passes. I know Pollard is there to take some receptions and some work away, but I'm telling you, they're going to work Ezekiel Elliott. You pay him all that money, you're going to work him. They're going to work this guy like they did Todd Gurley. They're going to run Zeke Elliott to the ground. And I'm telling you, you want to get him right now that he still has some elite years left. You want to ride this Ezekiel Elliott train till the wheels fall off. I'm telling you, he's a perfect buy low candidate. And rushing the ball, rushing yards, he's going to have at least 1,200 rushing yards. 1,200 rushing yards, around 10 touchdowns, another 50 to 65, maybe even 70 receptions. It's possible for another 500 yards. So you're looking at 1,700 scrimmage yards potentially from Ezekiel Elliott, and a total of anywhere between 12 to 15 touchdowns total. So that's going to be some crazy RB1 numbers. Like I said, you want to go ahead and grab Ezekiel Elliott right now before it's too late. The next guy on my list is a guy that I'm excited about. I will be doing a series called Sophomore Running Backs. Well, not a series, but an episode called Sophomore Running Backs. And he's one of the sophomore running backs that I'm going to feature on that episode. This guy's name is Cam Akers. Look, I understand he finished running back 45 last year, but who cares? Malcolm Brown is gone, right? You got Henderson. Henderson does not scare me at all. Henderson is just another guy. Henderson can play, but there's nothing special about Henderson, because if it was, they would not have drafted Akers. And if Henderson was so special, he's a nice young player, but I don't see franchise back potential from Henderson. I see a solid rotational back, a solid, nice backup. But Akers is going to get the bulk of the carries next year. They're going to feature Akers next year. He was a high draft pick, meaning a high second-round pick. He had 625 yards last year, 2 rushing touchdowns, 11 receptions for 123 yards and an extra touchdown. But if you watch the playoffs, you got to really see Cam Akers blossom. You got to see who Cam Akers really is. And at the end of the year, he had that one amazing game that he just went completely off. Whether it was the regular season or playoffs, I remember that 170 yards rushing game by Cam Akers. That was the Cam Akers welcome party. Look, we are welcoming you to the NFL, and now you're starting to see what Florida State fans saw in Florida State. Folks tell me, oh, Cam Akers had a bad line in Florida State, and you're starting to see it. The Rams didn't necessarily have the best line, but this guy continued to show that he's explosive. As the season went on, he got better and better and better and better. And he's the perfect buy low candidate right now. I'm high on Cam Akers. I think that Cam Akers is the next David Montgomery. He's the David Montgomery of this season. And I'm telling you, this guy's going to have over 1,000 yards rushing. And he's going to have a potential to have over 300 yards receiving, let alone another 45 receptions. He has the potential to have double-digit touchdowns. I'm telling you, you're going to see a big uptick. Matter of fact, he's a breakout candidate. Cam Akers, grab him now. If you're in Dynasty, you probably got to give up a first-round pick, because Dynasty trading is so different, but you can finesse the system. If you have if you have the 105 or the 106, you can trade that for Cam Akers because you're not going to get another running back at at the 105 or the 106 that's better than Cam Akers. That's going to give you the production that Cam Akers is going to give you. Now, if you want to go a different round and get guys like Javonte Williams and, Chuba Hubbard and some of these other guys later in the draft in your dynasty rookie draft, then hey, by all means do that. But if it's me, I'm trading any pick that's after 106. 105, 106, I'm trading that for Cam Akers. I'm telling you, this guy is a stud. This guy is going to be a star. He's going to be a superstar. I am big on Cam Akers this year, and he's one of my breakout potential candidates. Go grab him. I'm trying to tell you, go grab him before it's too late. The next player that has a lot of upside, the number 6 running back on my list. I told you guys I'm going to give you 6, and this is number 6 right here. DAndre Swift, another guy who's going to make my sophomore running back episode. DAndre Swift had more upside with Stafford. Out goes Stafford, incoming Jared Goff. And you're thinking, wow, Jared Goff, he is not Stafford, and, it's a downgrade. But I look at it this way. I don't think the Lions defense is going to be good. Remember, this is fantasy football. We don't care about what's happening in real life. Jared Goff is a very good fantasy quarterback. He's going to throw the ball. Okay. Not only does he throw the ball, he's going to need weapons. And if you look on Detroit, they have no receivers right now. You have Tyrell Williams and whoever else is on that roster. They lost Marvin Jones. They lost Kenny Golladay. So they have to rebuild this roster. So even if they go out there and draft a couple wide receivers, it's still okay because at the end of the day, DAndre Swift is the best weapon on the team. So what does that mean? He's going to get touches. He's going to get you yards. He's going to get you catches. He's going to get you attempts. So he has the potential to have a lot of yards this year. He finished as the RB 18. That's remarkable what he did last year. And he did a lot of it on the receiving end, but he had 521 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, 46 receptions for 357 yards and 2 scores. So that's 8 total touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? He had over 800 scrimmage yards. That's amazing. And next year it's only going to get better. Like I said, he's the main weapon on that team. Him and TJ Hawkinson. I forgot about TJ Hawkinson. So TJ Hawkinson is the number 1 wide receiver, and DAndre Swift is the number 2 wide receiver. We all know what DAndre Swift brings to the table as a pass catcher. So I'm telling you guys, grab him right now. I don't know what the price is in Dynasty for DAndre Swift, but I was able to trade for him. I traded a 2nd-round pick and a young wide receiver to be able to get DAndre Swift. And everybody said, you know what? I ran away with that deal. I think I traded a 2nd and maybe a player like Hollywood Brown, and it was able to get me DAndre Swift. Mind you, this was before the Stafford trade. So I love this running back. I love his potential, but I love Cam Akers better. But I think he's a close number 2. You guys will get more details on these sophomore backs when I do that sophomore episode. But yeah, man, DAndre Swift has all the upside in the world, and I think he'll do more damage in PPR than in standard fantasy. So DAndre Swift at number 6. Go grab him. So if you guys have made it this far, you get 2 bonus running backs. And the first bonus running back is Melvin Gordon, who came in as the RB14. And I told people last year that Melvin Gordon was going to be a top 15 back. When I was buying Melvin Gordon in my keeper leagues, people thought I was crazy. I was getting Melvin Gordon dirt cheap for 2nd-round pick. For a RB14, you cannot beat that. In a redraft, you can't even find, this caliber of running back sometimes in the 2nd round because running backs go so there's always a run in the 1st round, out of a 12-round league, not a 12-round league, but a 12-pick 1st-round league. So 12 picks in the 1st round, you always get like at least 7 or 8 running backs go in the 1st round. And then by the time it rolls around to the 2nd round, another 4 to 6 running backs go. So, Melvin Gordon is going to go high this year in redraft. But then in keepers and Dynasty, He's a guy that's not respected because of the age. People think that he's washed. But the blessing is Philip Lindsay is gone. He did this with Philip Lindsay last year. He had 986 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, 32 receptions for 158 yards and a score. So 10 total touchdowns. This is who Melvin Gordon is. We know that he does not rush for 1,000 yards. We know that he gets double-digit touchdowns. And we know that he's great in the backfield as a pass catcher. So what do we know? Maybe the Broncos get a quarterback. We don't know if the quarterback that they drafted number 9 this year is going to be able to play year 1. But you got Drew Luck, and you're going to have a offense that's going to throw the ball. They're going to run the ball, but they're going to throw the ball. He's going to be involved in the passing game heavily. So you're going to be getting a bargain with Melvin Gordon. You know what I'm saying? Like in keeper leagues right now, some people are not even considering keeping him. I mean, and that's just being real, because when you're keeping top tier wide receivers like Terry McLaurin, and you're keeping some of the younger running backs because of the upside, you know what I'm saying? Melvin Gordon becomes expendable. You can see a scenario where Melvin Gordon is being traded for a draft pick. If it's me, I'll probably go out and try to get a Melvin Gordon for a 2nd-round pick, because I know that he has a potential to be an RB1 this year. Do not be surprised if Melvin Gordon ends up anywhere between RB10 and RB12, and that's considered a RB1. So go ahead and grab you Melvin Gordon right now. I've been drafting him in startups. Yes, I'm drafting Melvin Gordon in startups as my number 3 or number 4 running back, with the potential to have RB1 upside. Like in one league, I drafted Christian McCaffrey, then I drafted Derrick Henry. Then I was able to get Melvin Gordon late in the draft. Now, I understand you're probably thinking, how did I get those 2 guys? It's Dynasty, startup, premium, tight end premium league. So, people go tight ends, people go quarterbacks, because it's also a super flex league. So you're able to gain some star potential guys in the skill position area in terms of running backs and wide receivers. So yes, Melvin Gordon is definitely a player that's on my radar, and I'm buying low right now because I know that his value is not necessarily high, especially with not knowing if the Broncos are going to draft another running back. Because I think outside of Melvin Gordon, you have Mike Boone that they brought in, who might take some snaps away, but he's not really a threat. He's not a Philip Lindsay caliber guy. The second bonus running back that I have for you guys is Chase Edmonds. I could have gone so many different ways, but Chase Edmonds is the running back that you need to target right now. He finished as the RB 25. So he was, almost a RB2 last year. He's RB3, but he has potential to be a high RB2 this year, or even an RB1. And this is why. Everybody says, oh, James Conner went to the Arizona Cardinals, and people are getting afraid. Look, it's James Conner, okay? He's on a 1-year deal. He's just pretty much there to just be, he's going to compete with Edmonds to get the job. And then they can still draft another running back. So this is a risk. You're taking a risk. I'm not telling you give up a lot to go get Chase Edmonds. This is the buy low episode, right? So you want to go ahead and you want to trade for Chase Edmonds. He's not expensive right now. There's a couple of leagues that I'm trying to get him in, and maybe I can get a Chase Edmonds in a 1st-round pick for another player or a running back, or maybe I get a Chase Edmonds in a 1st and a 2nd for a really good running back in return. But there's so many ways that you can attack Chase Edmonds. Last year, he had 448 yards rushing. He had 1 rushing touchdown. He had 53 receptions for 402 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think that's where he gets his money. You're going to see an Austin Eckler type performance from Chase Edmonds this year. If they don't draft a running back, I'm telling you right now, this guy is going to blow up. Because his 53 receptions that he had for 402 yards, mind you, he was sharing the backfield with Kenyon Drake, who they paid that transition tag. So they expected Kenyon Drake to be the number 1 running back. Chase Edmonds was the number 2 guy, maybe even the number 3 guy when the season started. He was able to work his way up to being a top back for that team. He was more effective than Kenyon Drake to me. He was more elusive. He just did more. He passed the eye test. When you look at him and you look at Kenyon Drake, you're gonna go Chase Edmonds 10 times out of 10. So he's the wild card right now. He's a risk, but there is no risk when you're buying low. So you want to go ahead, you want to buy low, you want to toss some players that you don't like that might give you value, but then you don't need. Let's say, for example, I'm in a league where I have Cooper Kupp. He's not a keeper of mine, but I can trade a Cooper Kupp and maybe a draft pick to get Chase Edmonds. So it's a risk that you take. If it works, then guess what? He'll give you like a Austin Eckler type year. Austin Eckler year one. You know what I'm saying? He caught a lot of passes. This guy has a potential to catch 70, 80 balls. Even with what's his name? DeAndre Hopkins there and AJ Green, even Christian Kirk. I see the Cardinals as a team that's going to throw the ball a lot this season. Connor does not offer much to me as a running back. And he's never healthy, so I'm not even banking on that. So really, the best thing that could have happened to Chase Edmonds was that the Cardinals did not draft a running back. Now, that's the only hurdle. You got to pray that the Cardinals don't draft a running back. If they do not draft a running back and they go into the season with Connor and Chase Edmonds is going to be a bona fide top 15 back. So you want to get him right now before it's too late. It is a risk, but it's a low risk, high reward. So guys, this is the episode. Thank you guys for checking me out. Be sure to follow the YouTube page, Talking Sports with Manny. Be sure to follow the Facebook page, same name, Talking Sports with Manny. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TS with Manny. You guys stay safe and you guys be blessed.